First thing on the agenda, we're going to go out of order here. BL 2014-911. Councilman Pridemore establishes the property tax relief program for low-income elderly residents of the metropolitan government for fiscal year 2014-2015. Have a motion? Second. We have with us Mr. Caldwell with our president. If there's any questions that anyone would like to ask, he is here and readily available. Councilman Glover.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Caldwell, if you don't mind, I know most of us that are here understand how this works, but for those who are watching and those who may be able to qualify for it, if you don't mind, could you kind of give us a refresher course on how you qualify for this and just an overview? Thank you, sir.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, one moment. I got to get rid of the queue here. There we are.
This program is for seniors who are 65 years and older, live in their home, and their income cannot exceed $28,350, including Social Security. We are accommodating about 7,500 households. We pay an average. This is a match. We match whatever the state matches. And in the urban services, they will receive about $840 credit toward their tax statement. If you're in the GSD, about $680. So this program has really been good. I think we started out, before we started the match, of about $1.6 million, and now we're up to $3.5 million as far as the appropriation is. We did pick up about 400 new taxpayers for the year 14. But it's been a very good program. The mayor's office, the council, finance department has been very supportive of this program. And we have a lot of compliments every day as people come in. Today we had, at 2 o'clock, we had about 50 people that had come in today to sign up for this program. Be glad to respond to any other questions anyone may have.
Councilor, any more?
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. You are very correct. This program is popular. I guess one of my concerns is that, you have some retired school teachers whose income is, more than 28. Will it ever be the opportunity for this body or the legislative body to, say, increase the guideline and still for them to, the income guideline, and still, if they're 65 and over, and still maybe be able to do the property tax relief, or is there another program? I know you have a deferred program as well. I think it's one more, but I know it's 3 programs that you have.
We have the deferred program, but that's only income level that does not exceed $25,000 a year. Mm-hmm. The freeze program, your income cannot exceed $40,380. Okay. So that helps the people that cannot qualify for the tax relief, but can qualify for the tax freeze.
But they still have to be 65 and over for the tax freeze.
Yes, ma'am, it's 65 years and older. Okay. And of the 7,500, if you qualify for the tax relief, you automatically qualify for the tax freeze. So it's a great program for the seniors in this community.
Will there ever be a time, do they have to apply in April or just at any time?
They can comply. When we send out the tax statement, which was October the 1st, we notify them that they can apply between now and April the 5th. Okay. So anytime during this period of time, they can come in and qualify. Now, if you're already on the program, then you do not have to come in each year. You just have to fill out the form and show proof of income, and we go from there.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Stein.
Thank you. I just, obviously, over the years, this is one of the things that we are able to do to give relief to those folks that need it the most. And we are only encumbered by the state legislatures not keeping up with the times, both in terms of the qualifying amounts and their funding of this. And if ever that's one of the things that they ought to be interested in doing, it certainly ought to be near the top of their list. And I've not, in my years here, have yet to run into anybody in the administration and anybody on the council that didn't want to fund this to the max continually, because we know what a great impact it has and wish the legislature would get on the stick.
Let me make one other statement.
Yes, sir.
About 6 years ago, they added the veterans, disabled veterans, to this program. And it's been good for the disabled veterans. The problem we're going to be running into with the state having budget problems, it could be, not for this year, but the ensuing year. They could very well cut back on the amount the state might pay. So that will be a decision that we'll have to make come next fiscal year if we want to continue to fund this program at the level we are funding it today.
Thank you very much, and that's certainly something we'll definitely have to consider. But it's a
you.
great asset for all the people in Davidson County.
It is. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, to the head of the docket, we'll have... Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? So moved. Motion passes. First on the head of the docket is 2014-1253. Council Lady Gilmore and Pridemore approves an amendment and restated intergovernmental project agreement between Metro government and the Metro Development and Housing Agency for the construction of a new parking garage at 505 Church Street. Do I have a motion? Move approval. Second? Discussion. Councilman Glover.
Mr. Cooper, I've read your analysis on this. I'm intrigued as to why some of the shift has gone to issue bonds on this versus the parking real estate fund taking the obligation. What exactly does this do to the taxpayers of Nashville? What is now going to be our liability, as it were, versus how this deal was originally structured?
I'm sorry. I'm slow this morning.
I don't know that it does anything really to the taxpayers. The only change from Metro's standpoint is that instead of pledging the non-tax revenues from the Urban Services District for $35.5 million, we're pledging it for $42 million to cover the cost of the capitalized interest and issuance cost on the bonds. Now, that amount was actually rolled into the payments that were going to be made anyway, so it's really not much in new money that would be paid out, but it does increase our obligation to $42.5 million to cover any shortfall. But the pro forma from MDHA shows that the parking garage, even reducing the number of spots down to around 1,000, will still more than cover the lease payments.
And the retail or the rental space, because we are losing 1,083 parking spots, the rental space that will be replaced with, are we getting the revenues off of that, or does that revenue go to someone else as far as helping to pay this bond issue?
I would ask MDHA to respond to that one.
We have Mr. Harbison's here with us.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me? Yes. We get all the revenue.
Okay,
So the revenue comes to MDHA together with the parking space revenue, and all that pays a debt service payment, and we believe it will more than cover the anticipated debt service payments here.
but in the event it doesn't, then it will reach into the coffers of Metro to make up any difference.
Correct.
And under the deal that was structured prior to, would we have still had to have reached into the coffers of Metro to make up any difference?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harbison. Councilman Pardue.
John, the total cost to the taxpayer is going to be $42.5 million, is that right?
No, that's the total cost of or the total amount of the bonds that will be issued.
What's the total?
The cost to the taxpayers would only be if there is a shortage in the amount of revenue the garage generates and the debt payments. And the MDHA has said that conservatively, the garage is going to generate more than enough money to cover those payments. So in that case, if that holds true, there would be no, the taxpayers would not be contributing anything toward it.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Claiborne.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When we first started talking about this, unless I misunderstood, the garage was to meet the increasing demand for parking in the downtown area. And I seem to remember the comment was made that even with this addition, we still wouldn't adequately address the need that we have for parking in the downtown area. So I'm wondering what the wisdom is in reducing the number of parking spaces by 1,000 spaces. Huh?
It's 183.
It's in Mr. Cooper's, let's see. 183. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I misread this. Okay, so we're reducing about 183, but we're still reducing. So are we, with the addition of the retail space, are we picking up more revenue than the parking spaces would generate, or what?
That's the idea. And from another standpoint, the downtown code for parking garages requires that you have retail, ground level retail, so that it, for one thing, it doesn't look like a garage, but also to encourage the additional retail space.
Okay, so the ground level retail was not in the original plan?
Mr. Harbison can respond to that.
Yes, sir, the ground retail was in there at a smaller number. As we went through design and review of codes, we've decreased the spaces because of some of the setback distances that were constraints on the lot that we just didn't know at the time we came to you first, as we've gone through the natural design process, and we're still in those workings with code. I don't think we're going to lose any more spaces. We've lost mainly to the size and the unique conditions of the parcel, but we've slightly increased the retail to meet the requirements. So it's slightly bigger than it was before. And we will get more revenue, we anticipate, from the retail space.
So the additional cost, or the total figure here, is basically from rolling in these additional things
It's from when you issue bonds. I mean, let's say you just issued $42 million in bonds tomorrow. Well, obviously, you're not going to have a garage built and up and running the day you issue the bonds. So you finance the interest for the construction period, and that's called capitalized interest. And so that gets rolled into the bond issue. So that's what the increase is for.
Right, that's what I meant. So the increase in cost is because we're changing the method in which the garage is going to be financed. Is that accurate?
Yes, although it's my understanding that that cost was already contemplated in the old structure. It just wasn't reflected in the construction amount because bonds were not being issued. So the interest during construction period was going to be paid anyway as part of those annual payments once it was built. It's just, this is just a change in the financing mechanism.
Okay, so when this was originally brought to us, why were all the additional costs not explained to the body at that time? If they were contemplated or anticipated, why were they not?
I think that the schedule that the council was presented with included those numbers. It just wasn't broken out that way, spelled out that way. But it was rolled into the annual lease payments that were going to be made. So this is really more form over substance.
Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Council Lady Weiner.
Thank you, Chair. Since Mr. Glover stole most of my questions, I have just a couple of more. In terms of oversight and the monies that are coming into this annually, once it's up and running, what will our oversight be in terms of what the risk is to our coffers? I guess that's to Rich.
This was structured, MDHA is incurring the debt, and so any revenues in excess of debt service and operation cost will flow to MDHA. So they'll be the beneficiary of those revenues. Like we would on any issue, we'll get reports from them as it relates to that, so we can anticipate as we go into the budget process whether there's going to be any need to budget money, appropriate any money in the budget for the garage, which we don't think will have to happen, but we'll be working that on an annual basis with MDHA as we go into the budget process to see if we need to put any money in the budget for it in anticipation of it going forward. So they are our sister agency. They're a instrumentality of the metropolitan government, and so I would anticipate we would have close cooperation. Obviously, they'll share their numbers with us, and we'll see them. So it's not like going out to the private sector and have them build it, but it's just having one of our own entities build it for us, and take the liability on rather than us, the city, having to issue the debt itself.
What about the maintenance costs going down the road? That would be the responsibility of MDHA?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Stein.
If ever there was a project before us that has the highest level of success, the notion of this parking garage at this location with the folks that are in downtown Nashville right now looking for a place to park, if ever there was a low risk of this not reaching its maximum potential revenue, I don't think we've ever seen a project.
You would think. Seeing no other in the queue, no further discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. RS 2014-1254, Pridemore, Duval, and others appropriates a grant $250,000 to Oasis Center for support of the Mayor's Scholar Academy.
Move approval.
Second? Okay, discussion. Council Lady Weiner.
Thank you again, Chair. So is the faculty for this coming from Oasis?
I'm sorry.
Good afternoon. Yes, the faculty is from Oasis.
Okay, great. And are we going to have an accounting as to how the funds are spent? I know there have been issues in the past with us, not from Oasis, but with us needing to have greater oversight in how these monies are disseminated and that they're going to be used appropriately.
Yes, the Metro Code requires that there be a contract with the agency as part of the grant, and the Office of Grants Management does a tracking to make sure that the funds were spent as they were supposed to be.
Okay, and the money is coming from where?
The money is coming from the general fund. It was appropriated, 600 and something thousand was appropriated by the council for this program, and so a portion of that is being subgranted to Oasis to provide these services.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing no other discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 2014-1255, Pridemore and Baker approves a renewal of a sole source contract with Image Trend Incorporated for data collection and reporting software for the fire department. Have a motion? Move approval. Second? Second? All right, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 2014-1256, Pridemore and Baker approves what we're going to do, we're going to take 1256, 1257, and 1258 together. 1256 approves an intergovernmental agreement to distribute $25,000 in state grant funds to the Cookeville Police Department to assist with investigations of internet crimes against children. 1257, approves an intergovernmental agreement to distribute $25,000 in state grant funds to the Dixon County Sheriff's Office to assist with investigations of internet crimes against children. 1258 approves an intergovernmental agreement to distribute $10,000 in state grant funds to the Tennessee Association of Chiefs of Police to assist with investigations of internet crimes against children. Do I have a motion? Any discussion? Councilor Gilmore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to understand why we are distributing these funds to other cities. What is the agreement? Help me to understand that.
That was part of the grant that Metro received from the state, was with the understanding that a portion of the grant funds would be subgranted to other local law enforcement agencies. So that was part of the grant at the time it was awarded.
Okay.
And these are all state funds. This is no Metro money involved.
Okay, good deal. One more question. So each of the cities that we apply collectively, so everybody put the research grant, or was it just that our city applied for it and then we redistribute the funds with the understanding that we would just do the research and go in with all of them as partners?
You may be able to, from the police department may know.
Captain Hager, is there any way you can come forward and enlighten us?
Good evening. This is a recurring grant. What we do is we apply for it. We get granted the $248,000. Like it was said, it's the spirit of the grant. We partner. We send out an application for all the agencies in the Middle Tennessee District, and based on that, we select 3 to partner with. Those are the 3 we selected this year. Does that answer your question?
It does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? 1256, 1257, and 1258 passes. 2014-1259, Pridemore and Baker approves 3 amendments to a federal grant to the Metro Police Department for the Gang Resistance Education and Training Program by increasing the amount of the grant by $50,000 with an increase in the local match by $9,359 and extending the term of the grant through September 30th, 2015. At the request of the administration, there's been a request for withdrawal. Do I have a motion? Motion, no discussion. All in favor of
Is it
the...
withdrawal?
Sorry?
I had a question. They're not going to use the grant for the kids? They're withdrawing this?
Apparently, there was an error in the calculation of the amount or something in the amendments that had some incorrect figures. So they just wanted to withdraw this one and come back with a revised one that has all the correct information.
So they're still going to apply for the
they'll
funds?
still get
but
the
just-
grant.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, motion for withdrawal. Second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. 2014-1260 approves a state grant of $700,000 to the Nashville Career Advancement Center to prepare dislocated workers for re-entry into the labor force and to provide training for those facing serious barriers to productive employment. I have a motion? So moved. Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. 2014-1261 approves a renewal of the agreement between Vanderbilt University Medical Center and the Metro Board of Health for the continued training of Vanderbilt medical residents in the tuberculosis elimination program. Do I have a motion? So moved. All right, motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 2014-1265, Councilor Gilmore Pridemore approves a license agreement between the state and the Metro Arts Commission for installation of a public art sculpture at the Korean Veterans Boulevard roundabout next to the Music City. I'll have a motion. So moved. Second? Do we have discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 2014-1266, authorize the Department of Law to settle the personal injury claim of Victoria Lockridge against the Metropolitan Government for $12,000. Do I have a motion? Second. Any discussion? Councilman Pardue.
I'd just like to know why. What happened?
A police officer rear-ended another vehicle, causing injury.
Okay, but on the other way, had she rear-ended him and he was hurt in the line of duty, it's a good chance his salary would get cut. I had to throw that in there.
Seeing no other discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. 2014-1267, authorize the Department of Law to settle the personal injury claims of Richard Parker, Margaret Parker, and James Cordray, and the property damage claim of Werner Enterprises against the Metropolitan Government for a total of $265,000. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Councilman Glover for discussion.
Mr. Riebling, just out of curiosity, I don't know if this was already pending when the budget was done. How are we looking overall in our self-insurance fund? Are we anticipating any, I guess, allocations to make up any overspending or, I guess, dipping into this self-insurance fund, or do we feel like we're fully funded for the remainder of this budget year?
I don't anticipate having to come back with any additional funding this year. We increased the amount a little bit in the current budget, and we work with the legal department and their staff to project this going forward. So I'm not aware of any need to come back this year for any additional funding.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 2014-914, Council Lady Moore, Pride Moore and others, authorizes the acquisition of a right-of-way easements and other property rights by negotiation or condemnation for the replacement of the Foster Avenue Bridge with an estimate acquisition cost of $50,000. Do I have a motion? Second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 2014-916, Councilman McGuire, and we do have a letter from Councilman McGuire, authorizes the acquisition of drainage easements, temporarily construction easements, and other property rights for 6 properties on Granny White Pike and Shackleford Road for the construction of 1,460 feet of new sidewalk with an estimated acquisition cost of $90,000. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I think we need to go back and get 915. I think we skipped 915.
That's, okay, yes, I did, right. 2014-915, Council Lady Lancaster, and we have a letter from her, authorizes the acquisition of drainage easements, temporary construction easements, and other property rights for 11 properties on 18th Avenue North for a sidewalk project with an estimated acquisition cost of $13,676.
Move.
Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Now on to 2014-917. Councilman Bedney, Pride Moore and others, authorizes the acquisition of a right-of-way easement, drainage easement, temporary construction easement, and other property rights for 5 properties on Cedarmont Drive for a bridge replacement with an estimated acquisition cost of $57,435. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Second. Seeing any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Council Lady Gilmore.
Just wanted to see if you saw it. That's okay.
Council Lady Moore.
I was just wondering about 916. Did you skip that one, or?
It was
We went over
out
it?
of order.
Oh, we took it out of order. Okay, thank you.
And where were we? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Bill 2014-918, Bill 2014-918 authorizes the acquisition of drainage easements, temporary construction easements, and other property rights for 7 properties on Murphy Road, Sloan Road, and West Lawn Drive for a sidewalk project. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have any discussion? Seeing none? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. And I believe that completes the docket of Budget and Finance.
Project.